working with Pepper, and what we do is we make a little compilation video.
Yeah.
So I'll send that to you. But since you did her 5 and you got your first class already in, I haven't had time to put it together.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go over real simple stuff today. We're going to go over the heel command, and then you should have your video probably by Monday or Tuesday.
Okay.
I put it up on YouTube and I'll email it to you. And it's going to, because they've already gone over all the commands: heel, sit, down, stay, place, and recall.
Yeah.
Okay, so they've already gone over the 6 commands. So we did that over the course of the first week, and then each week we just build on it.
Yeah.
So for the first week, we record the first sessions of all the commands to show you how your dog responded when they were first introduced. Okay,
Right.
so you have a look of like, oh, okay, like this is how they were. And then each week we do what I call an overview, where they'll go over all the stuff as it's progressing, and we send that to you as well. So you can review it and you can see your progress. But also it's more so, the biggest thing I'm all about is educating people. Because it's not as simple as, we teach the dog something and they just know it,
Right.
and like a human would. Like, I know how to play guitar, but I did a lot of practicing and stuff, and I can proactively pick up my guitar and play it whenever I want. Dogs aren't like that. Okay, dogs are very much reactive in terms of like when she's got her equipment on, she knows like, okay, I have to listen. If her equipment is not on, then she's gonna be like, oh, I know I can get away with like more stuff and all that. Okay, so we'll discuss as we go along.
Totally knows that.
Yeah. So is everything paired together? Is everything turned on?
It is. I don't know if this is tight enough. This the e-collar. I haven't seen you guys put on or what you guys recommend. I think it's loose.
That's maybe a notch or 2 loose.
Okay.
Okay. So let's go ahead and make it a little bit more snug.
That seems better.
Yeah, and we go by the box, not the collar itself, because since dogs have thicker fur, or not thicker, they have fur, and
Yeah.
humans have, we just have our skin.
Right.
The 2 probes have to like go through the fur and make contact and stuff. Otherwise, that looks like a good fit. Okay.
Up here.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fine. Anywhere from one side of the jaw to the other, we tend to stay away from the throat area here. Okay. If it's on the center and you hear her like, probably too tight. Okay. So then
Heard
we
that
loosen
before.
a notch, and then it should, when it's fitted correctly, when you have it on the side, it shouldn't slide down or anything. Even if she scratches at it, it should stay in place.
Okay.
So if you see it rolling around, that's because it's too loose. Okay.
Yeah.
Questions about any of this stuff?
Should I hook anything onto the should I do the flat collar or the
e-collar? No. So
Keep it with
your
chain.
setup is perfectly fine.
Okay.
We never clip to the e-collar because if she pulls, it's going to shift the e-collar, and we may
Right.
not get good contact, right? So it's either we're clipped to a flat collar or she's clipped to her prong, so nothing inhibits
Okay.
the e-collar itself.
I should have brought her flat collar.
You're fine. Yeah, you're fine. These tools work great together. It's not that you can't use them together. This actually gives you the most control,
Yeah.
but we're going to use a lot of e-collar to dissuade you from using the leash.
That's what I
because
need.
that's what builds you to off-leash reliability. Okay,
Right.
so because I know you did a class previously, correct?
I have
group
done
class?
an e-collar class before.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the way we use e-collar is vastly different than
Yeah.
I'm comfortable to say that every other trainer in Chicago.
Yeah.
Because I learned in Miami through my mentor, and he developed his own style of training. So unless you train with him, chances are it's going to be completely different. Okay.
Yeah.
So the first thing we want to do here with Pepper is find her working number. Okay. So we have 3 levels. We have connection, perception, and then working. Connection is simply the muscle contraction. Okay. So like you see how Pepper is staring off at like the tennis court or whatever, is that you would see the neck twitching, but she's not concerned by it. So she's staring, she's like, okay, whatever, right?
Right.
Perception would be the twitch happens and you get a little bit of like kind of movement. Working number is a bit more dramatic. It's like, whoa, what was that? Okay.
Right.
And we always want to get that working number because that's what makes the obedience effective no matter what the environment is. Okay. And this is how we get really good progress or really quick progress, is because people tend to baby dogs into things. Dogs don't baby each other.
Yeah.
Okay, if you bring a dog to a dog park and they get out of line, other dogs will correct that dog, right? They don't give them
Right.
a manual and say like, these are the rules of the dog park. Okay, don't do this. This is not I would say allowed here.
Right.
They just, you do something incorrect, they correct them, and then they go back to their coexisting. Okay, so it's kind of a similar approach, right? I don't baby them because one, they don't do that to each other, but also for the human, when it's really like what's the word? Too nuanced. Where they're like, you're gonna be at like 4, and then you're gonna do this and this and this, and the treats and this and this. It's too much stuff that the owner's like, I'm not a dog trainer. I just need my dog to listen, right? It's more along that degree of training, so it's very quick, and the owner goes, wow, like this is very effective, and then it motivates them to, of course, do the homework. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do here is we're gonna get Pepper's working number. What's your number right now?
10 right now.
Okay, so we're gonna look at Pepper, and you're gonna be pressing that black button. Is it set to M and C?
Yes.
Okay, so black would be M for momentary. Okay, we're gonna take a look at Pepper, and when I say tap, you're gonna press your button. Tap, tap, tap. Okay, so that's kind of perception, maybe a little bit of working. Let's go ahead and go to 15 here. We're gonna look at Pepper again and tap, tap, tap. Right, so you see how it's kind of a subtle movement? Let's go to 20. Tap, tap, tap. So still pretty subtle. 25.
She's something else.
I think her number's been around 30 with my trainers. Tap, tap, tap. See how it's still kind of whatever? 30.
She's so like, she's so prey driven. So like, being in the park is perfect for her.
Yeah. Tap, tap, tap. 35. We're kind of getting there. And that there was 30 at our facility, which is empty.
Yeah.
Right? So that kind of gives you a visual. Tap. We're gonna wait a moment. Tap. 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 40.
You're so tough, huh?
Tap. 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 45. And this is not uncommon, okay? Tap. 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 You're 45, correct?
45.
50. Tap. 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 55. Tap. Tap. Are we seeing a twitch there too? Tap.
A little bit, yeah.
Tap. There we go. So right there on that last one, you see how she shot forward?
Yeah.
That's the urgency. That's the working number, okay? Now, because there's so much going on, it's not just the physical contraction, it's the mental communication, right? So we're at a point where she's like, hey, this is concerning, and it made her do a more exaggerated response.
Yeah.
That exaggeration is her going, what is this? How do I turn it off?
How to make it stop.
Yes. So nobody likes being uncomfortable. Discomfort is like one of the, in my opinion, greatest motivators, because you want to get out of that situation. You want to go, how do I stop this, right? Same thing for dogs. So we find that number and we're using discomfort, that she goes, man, I don't like this. How do I get it to stop? And that's how we override all of this.
Yeah.
Okay. So as we progress, we may find that number goes down lower. If she gives a yip, it's okay. We're just going to dial it down and then work our way back up again.
Yeah.
If you get a yip and you console her like, oh my God, I'm sorry, baby, you're negating yourself.
Right.
Okay. Again, dogs bite each other. It's not going to screw her up psychologically. It's not going to screw up emotionally or anything like that.
Right.
I just told the owner, adjust, because then you teach your dog how to recover. Okay. So now we're going to start with the basic foundational command that we always teach, which is heel. If you've experienced reactivity with her, the heel will be the baseline for dealing with the reactivity. Ideally, we don't even see it, right? When I'm talking to the owner, like the whole purpose of heel is that the dog's so focused on you, they don't care about anything else, we don't get reactivity. If you do see reactivity, because now you'll start employing this, I'll give you instructions to correct it. But as far as I know, we've not seen any reactivity from her at the facility, and she's been great on the pack walks as well. So,
yeah.
Okay, I think you should be fine, but just in case, we'll cover that if needed. Questions?
That'd be good to know, because she has, in the past, there was like, I mentioned to the incident at the cabin, my uncle's dog.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like, how do I control it in the situation?
Correct.
Know?
Yeah, and the e-collar is a great, in my opinion, the best tool, because on or off leash, I have control. If there's a dog fight, I had a client actually at this park, because they come here.
Yeah.
They live like a couple blocks west of here, and her dog and another dog went after a tennis ball at the same time, and it blew up into a fight. And she had to max out the collar and remote it, and the dog, she shrieked, but then she pulled out of the fight and ran straight to her owner, and the other owner was able to grab their dog. nobody got bit, nobody got hurt, the dogs were fine.
Yeah.
But she had that control because of remote. Okay.
Right.
So we'll go over here on the path, and I'm gonna coach you through everything. Okay. So you're gonna make mistakes. It's okay. So this exercise, the way that we teach it, and in the video, of course, you'll see when Enrique and Brianna are working with Pepper, is it's a super simple exercise. What we're gonna do here is when you're walking with Pepper, I want you, we teach traditionally on the left, so you'll actually switch sides, so you're gonna have her on your left side. Okay. And
I have noticed that recently, she's walking more on my left.
on your left, yeah.
But that is a problem, sometimes she'll cross in front of me.
Yeah, we're gonna fix all that stuff today. So here, when we're teaching the dog to heel on the left, what I want you to get in the habit of doing is whenever she passes you, you're always gonna 180 like this. Okay? She passes 180 like this. She passes 180 like this. Okay? That's one part of it. The reason for that is because that brings her back to the left side. What we also do is when she passes, you're gonna turn and tap, as I say tap, and then she'll come here, and then you just keep going as long as she's lined up. If she passes again, you 180, tap, tap, to bring her back here, and then you keep going, okay? So main thing to remember is when I say turn, it means like this, okay? And an immediate turn. And then when I say tap, you'd be pressing that button. So when I say tap, 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 that would be your rhythm. If I say, correct. If I say tap, 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 that would be your rhythm, okay? So some people, like I'll say tap, and then like 5 seconds later, the tap happens. As best as you can, you know, you're doing it just after I say it, until and then if you hear me stop, then you're good. And like typically I'll say good, and that the good marks, that's what I wanted to see from the dog, okay? What we're also gonna do is you're gonna give a little bit more slack here. And now we're relaxed.
Right hand, is that okay?
That's okay. So you see where that, you have like kind of a J shape in your leash here?
Yeah.
On the bottom of that J, that little loop there, right? It should be kind of like by her armpit area. Having it around that height, exactly, prevents it from going under her legs, so that this way you're not constantly having to pull it out. If you go any lower than that, a lot of times the dogs get tangled up and you're constantly resetting them, okay? Okay. So whenever you're walking with her, because today we're gonna have plenty of space, is I give the nice complete slack, okay? Yeah. When you have to go through moments where it's like people walking by and stuff and you need to shorten the leash, you would of course shorten it, and then once you're done, you can let the slack go. So if you're walking with Pepper, your leash is like that, and she's locked on right beside you, what does that tell you? Pay attention, she's walking with you, she knows what she's supposed to be healing. If she's not doing that, then of course you would correct, okay? Yeah. Question so far?
Done, right now.
All right, so I'll coach you through everything, and then once you get your video, it's gonna clarify a lot of stuff. It'll also review a lot of stuff, okay? And then you always have these as well to refer to, so if you forget something from today's session, you just go find Pepper's video, and then you can rewatch it, okay? So whenever you're ready, you're gonna go ahead and start walking.
Okay.
Forward, yep.
She's being too good.
Yes. And we might have to make some mistakes here for the sake of training. Go ahead and relax your arms. Go ahead and make a turn.
She's making it.
And now when you make a turn here, I'm gonna make you just make that sharp 180 right turn, okay? Turn, tap, 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 good, and relax. Keep walking. Go ahead and slow down. Go ahead and stop. Very good, okay? She's backed a little bit, that's okay for now.
Yeah, she acted like I pressed this, but I didn't.
Yeah, she was anticipating, okay? So when you slow down, you came to a stop, where's Pepper now?
A little behind me.
A little behind you, but essentially next to you, correct, right? She didn't keep going ahead. So she's already starting to transfer what she learned from Enrique and Brianna to you. That's what makes e-collar such a great tool, is it transfers very quickly, okay? So what we're gonna try here is we're gonna have to force a couple of mistakes so you can see visually how this exercise works, okay? So your first turn was rounded out. The second turn was rounded out, but like half of the first one. Yeah. And it's gonna be just an immediate turn the opposite way. So there's no walking in the right direction, it's just boom, okay? Yeah. So we're gonna do a few things that are technically unfair for the dog, but it's more so you can see how she learns the concept, okay? Yeah. So whenever you're ready, you're gonna go ahead and move forward. Turn, tap, good. Turn. Tap. Tap. Good. Turn. Tap. Good. And keep forward here. Go and slow down, but keep walking. Go and speed up. Go and slow down. Go and slow turn here. There you go. Keep moving forward. And slow down again. And stop. And here you're gonna light, there you go. Good, she did it. So if she hadn't sat down, what you would have done is lightly pulled up on your leash and tapped to cue the auto sit. Okay? So we're not saying any words right now, right? We're not saying heel yet. She knows the word heel, but I want you to just understand how this concept works.
Yeah.
Most people, when they teach the heel, will, when they're walking with the dog, they let them pull, and they'll go no, zap zap. Dog comes here and they go heel, and they'll keep walking. The dog goes ahead. No, zap zap. Dog comes back, heel. Right. So when doing this, when you're doing this, sorry, you're like is the purpose of this turnaround exercise is when we first had Pepper, it was she was going that way, and it was tapping and going the opposite way. So for Pepper, she's going, I don't like this. What's going on? She'd turn around. Oh, Enrique's going that way. She'd catch up and then it would stop. Okay, but then she passed it. It'd thicken again.
Keeps again, yeah.
Oh, Enrique's going that way. She would catch up and then it would stop.
With no correction.
That is a correction.
But just the e-collar correction.
Correct.
Not physical. Yeah.
So yeah, exactly. Yeah. Technically, it's a correction in the sense of I call it the correct and redirect. Don't go that way. Redirect. I'm going this way.
Yeah.
Okay. Whereas most people, when they keep it in the same direction, the problem is when you correct the dog and they come back, a lot of times you'll see them do this. And it's since you're going in the same direction, the dog doesn't connect those dots.
Right.
Right? Like a human would.
Yeah.
They need it much more blatant, much more blunt, right? Where they're going, okay, tap, tap, oh, I don't like this. Oh, you're going that way all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And then they catch up and then it disappears. So the dog starts to go, you know what, every time I feel this, you're going the other way. So then you start to see them target the left leg, because that's more along the lines of how they learn, okay? So every dog, including, like that's actually the client that we got double booked with.
Yeah.
I teach them all the same way.
Yeah.
I've never had this method not work.
Yeah.
Okay, all the other methods at some point won't work or they don't work as well.
Yeah.
Because now the dog's able to plug in like, oh, if I pass you up, this thing goes off, but when I'm right shoulder to your left leg, that's my safe zone. I'm in that pocket, I don't have to worry about anything.
Right.
Okay? So once we teach that behavior, then I go to heel. Right? People tend to use heel right off the bat. I don't like to use it until I know I have the behavior.
Because then they can understand what the
It's very direct.
is. Yeah.
Exactly. It becomes heel. We do this thing that she's already done for a week. So she's like, oh, okay, that's what that is. But if I'm still in the process, exactly, if I'm still in the process of teaching the dog, there's too much of a gap before I get this behavior. So it doesn't tie in. Like a heel becomes a very sloppy, like all over the place thing, as opposed to heel means, boom, now you're on my hip.
Right.
Okay? Questions so far?
No.
So the reason why this is super quick is because we got that working number first.
Yeah.
Okay. So again, at my facility, it was 30, whatever. Now we're like 55, 60.
And it's interesting because when I had tried like e-collar training with her before, I could start at like an 8 on a walk, and then eventually she would start not to care. 15.
Yes.
Start not to care, and then like it's 30, and then keep going, and I'm like, well,
Yes.
gosh, she's not listening to me, you
Correct.
know?
And that's so most trainers teach, or they'll talk about or promote low-level e-collar. And I look at it more as a sales gimmick because people feel bad about e-collar, right? Because the perception of how it's applied or how they think it works, whatever, right?
Yeah.
And I go, no, the theory is as low as possible, but as high as needed. So here,
Right.
we're at 55, 60, and the idea here would be like, let's say you walked and you were gonna walk home.
Yeah.
Is boom, the entire walk home, because you have that number,
Right.
So I always tell all my clients, find your working number first, then start your walk. Because people will assume I already, 25 worked yesterday, but maybe the dog needs 45 the next day.
Yeah.
So she tells you
in different environments. Yeah.
Exactly. So don't get married to a number. Like, let's say you go to like the dog beach or something, and you're walking where there's tons of people and dogs and scents and stuff. You might be at 95, but she's not yipping and rolling. She's locked in just like she is today, but she needs 95 in that environment. Okay. So the most common theory is if the dog is trained, they should learn to just be a good dog and opt to be a good dog. Like, dogs don't do that. A human could decide one day, like, I'm going to change my ways.
My behavior, yeah.
Exactly, and be proactive about that. Dogs don't. Dogs are opportunistic. Technically, so are humans, but dogs are more so opportunistic because she's like, oh, you don't have that collar on today.
You're not having the rules.
Yeah,
okay.
You can't go to 95 today to make me feel cool. Do my doggy thing. Okay?
Yeah.
So it's nothing good or bad. It's just the way of the world. She's at the end of the day, she's still a dog.
Right.
People put too much human behavior on dogs. That's when we get some discrepancies. Okay?
I don't feel bad because I've had her be naughty and she doesn't respond unless it's just something where it's like catching her attention more.
Sure.
So.
And theoretically speaking, like with the reactivity stuff, now that you're at that higher number already, we don't even see it.
Yeah.
Ideally. Now I do get cases that are more difficult where the dog has the foundation but they're still willing to like become explosive. That's a totally different thing, right?
Yeah.
But if she's like, man, we're at 55 or 60, I don't want to screw anything up, I'm going to pay attention to mom, you get no reactivity.
Right.
Because now you're already in the dog's head. People tend to wait for the extreme. Oh, now my dog is lunging or pulling, or now my dog's being reactive, now I'm going to use my remote. And I use it for every little thing at, a very respectable level for the dog. So then they think, I don't even want to get out of line because I'm already at this degree. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Questions?
No, that's good.
So we're going to start to talk about the formalities of the heel. So when you have space, you can have your leash slack like this, so you don't have to worry about like dogs, people, and all that stuff.
Right.
But if you're to be coming by someone, and you may you think to yourself, I should shorten my leash. You'll simply, pass it off to your hand, to your left hand, take up some slack, give space, hug on the sidewalk a bit as you walk by, and once you pass up that traction, if everything is clear, I can let that left hand go. Because that gives me the visual of, are you really walking with me? Okay?
Right.
Most people, and I even had a client say that their trainer told them to choke up on the leash really tight, and then just to walk with their dog like this. I'm like, why?
Doesn't that put him in like tense mode?
Well, yes, there's that, but also tells them the trainer doesn't know what they're doing. Right?
Yeah.
Because I told them, they're like, everything you're telling us is the opposite. Like, and I'm like, yes. But watch how it works. And then they're like, holy crap, it worked. I'm like, yeah, because the other trainer didn't know what they were doing. Okay?
Yeah.
So if I have a nice slack leash and Pepper's right there locked on my hip, she has a very good concept of what heel is and what she's supposed to be doing in contact. Okay?
Yeah.
That's how we start building towards off leash level stuff. Okay? So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna go ahead and add in that word heel. Okay? So the way I apply it is I cue the word first, heel, and then I move forward with my left leg first. Okay. So in more advanced training, left leg means walk with me, right leg means you don't move. Okay. It sounds super fancy, it sounds super complicated, but it's really just practicing which legs you move with until the dog gets a good concept of like which leg to pay attention to. So she has a wider peripheral range. She has a wider peripheral range, so she sees that leg coming out, and that tells her now we're moving.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. So that's a permanent thing. Heel and then left leg. So technically, if you come out with Pepper, she's free. She can do her doggy thing. And then once you're ready, Pepper heel, left leg, and now everything goes into effect. Okay. So technically, you cannot remote or expect her for like pulling and stuff if she's not in that under command, because there's no rules there. Okay. Once you give the command to heel, then it's your responsibility to make sure that you're reinforcing everything. Should she make a mistake and get out of line? Okay. So I'm gonna have you repeat that a few times. What you're gonna do is you're gonna say heel. You're gonna move forward with that left leg. You're gonna walk for a little bit. You're gonna slow down. You're gonna come to that stop. Pepper should stop with you. You're gonna wait a moment.
And sit. Or no?
Correct.
Okay.
But you don't say sit. It's automatic.
And if she doesn't?
You're gonna lie your feet pull up and tap on the collar. Okay. Once she's settled, you're gonna wait a moment. Heel, then left leg. Okay.
Yeah.
Questions? All right. Go for it.
Heel.
Tap. Forward. You got it. She got a little distracted, which is good. Good. Go ahead and slow down to a stop when you're ready. What you're going to do here is go ahead for now, just pivot in.
This way?
The other way. And relax. So there you go. So now you're back on your side, right? So you're at 55?
55.
Let's go down to 45. So what happened there is because you were tapping for the sit, right? Is now we got either more attention or she's more sensitive. That the tap, I don't know if you saw that, made her like shoot off more than we had before.
When she first arrived, it was more like...
Yes, but now that she's dialed down a bit, she's more perceptive. So it's just getting used to recognizing that, and that just tells me, okay, I need to go down, okay? So we're gonna try that again, but that was good with the heel to the left leg, that was all good. The stop was good, it was just that sit that we need to correct, right?
Yeah.
Again, heel.
Heel.
Good. Slow to a stop. Nothing here. Good girl. Heel.
Heel.
Going to give a little bit more slack. Go ahead and slow turn here. Yep, nothing here because she turned with you. Go ahead and speed up a bit. Now slow. Stop. Okay, so what you're gonna do here, there you go. And go ahead and position yourself to her. That's fine. Good. We're gonna try that again. So what she's doing is, and this is,
Went right in front of me.
yeah, so this is super common, is at the facility, we're constantly right turning to correct things. So now she's assuming we're gonna pivot.
Turn.
So she's overshooting it, okay?
Okay.
We're gonna ignore that for now because I want you to just get the core exercise. It should go away during the week. If it doesn't, let us know. Otherwise, what I am gonna have you do is when you slow down to that stop, I'm gonna have you slow down 3 to 5 steps. You're really gonna...
Dramatic.
Yeah, and then come to that stop. That should help her
Realize where to
line
stop.
up a bit more. The other thing it could possibly be is since we tapped her at that 55-60, now she's more edgy, so she's like really overcompensating.
Yeah.
Okay, because now she's like a bit more anxious, like what if is there going to be a harsher hit? Okay.
Okay.
Whenever you're ready.
Heel.
Go ahead and speed up. Go ahead and slow. Go ahead and slow turn. Good turn. Yep. Now speed up again. Go and slow. There you go. Slower. Slower. Stop. Good. With your left hand, what you can do is you can kind of put it under your leash or use your hand, left hand, pull up, tap. Good. And go ahead and just reposition for now. Okay. I'm not going to be picky about this at the moment. Okay.
Do you think it's too high, maybe?
You can go down to 35. So if you get this during this week, you know, you can either just step aside or whatever. We're gonna ignore it.
Yeah.
Okay. So if I'm too nitpicky, it's gonna be too much for you to remember.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be too much for her to try to process. She's not gonna get it. We'll fix it at the facility.
Yeah.
We're gonna do 2 more of the heel stops, but that slowing down drastically was a bit easier for her. It was just then she tucked behind you.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's going to 2 more.
Heel.
There you go, good turn. Yep. Going to relax that right arm. There you go. Forward tap. Go ahead and keep moving forward. Now slow. Slower. And stop. Good. Now lightly up on the, there we go. There we go. Let's go to 25 now. Yeah, it's fine. Good. One more.
Correct.
Heel.
Oh,
Yeah.
this way or
You can go forward a bit and then slow turn to go back.
heel?
Right. Was there a tap there?
No.
Okay.
Should What I have though?
She got a little distracted over there by the people on the bench.
Yeah.
But she ended up maybe with the prong pressure. She responded and corrected, so that was fine. Going slow. You're gonna slow turn. And then slower. Slower to stop. There we go. So if she sits on her own, we don't do anything.
Yeah.
So now she's starting to dial down a bit. So you could see the progression or the change in her response. When it was too high, more mistakes. And now that we've lowered it and then repeated, she's starting to go like, oh, okay, I'm getting it now.
Yeah.
And we're not needing so much intensity. Okay. Questions for any of them, any of this stuff?
No, that's good.
So do you know how heel works and how it's applied and stuff?
To be honest, heel was never really taught before in our training classes.
Okay.
So that's a new word. She knew like sit down and all that. Whether she wanted to listen to it outside is a different
story.
But like heel is new.
Okay. What did they teach you like in that first class or whatever?
It was mainly just sit down and
Okay.
recall type things.
But never heel.
But not heel.
Wow. Heel's the first thing I always teach.
Heel wasn't the one. Yeah, we didn't really go through that.
Okay.
Place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean that stuff is easy. Like anybody can teach that stuff.
Yeah.
Heel. I have another client who her previous dogs did a lot of board and trains, and I asked her, how they teach the heel. She's like, they never taught the heel. And I was like,
yeah, I wish because
Yeah.
she pulls.
yeah.
So
So my theory is that they don't. Again, very rarely does a trainer know how to teach a simple heel that people can replicate and do, but that's also applicable. Okay. So all our obedience, sit, stay down, place, come, heel is our foundation. There are functional commands. They're meant. They have a purpose.
Yeah.
Okay. They're meant to be used with life. Whereas I think most people, when they teach them, they're thinking, well, the dog's not going to listen in this environment, so it's kind of like a trick that they do or whatever, right? But no, they're meant to be functional.
yeah.
So let's say we're going to walk to the park and have some time at the park and then walk back home again. You would use the heel from the walk to the park, from the walk back from the park to home. So that keeps her here. So that the walk is pleasant. And it's not just like, oh, my dog is pulling me all over the place, which then can ultimately lead to reactivity. Okay. So when you give that heel cue, everything that we covered today, and then I'll see how it goes. There's more to this, but this is like the foundation of it.
Yes.
Is goes into effect. Okay, so if you say heel and you start walking, if she's too distracted by the environment, it's your job to adjust your levels, correctional turn, lock her back in, and it should never feel like an argument. It should never be correction. I see him all the time. It shouldn't be 100 corrections for a walk.
Yeah.
Okay. In the beginning, yes, because we're training and the dog's learning and processing. But once the dog has the concept of the heel, which literally takes just like 15 to 30 minutes, it's just a matter of what number are you going to respect and listen to in this environment.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
I feel like there were like before it was like just so many corrections on leash, and maybe it was like my part of not correcting properly of being effective, but like that. I just feel like she just didn't get fully to some context. I don't know.
Sure.
When we're walking, say if we were walking home and then there's people like on a patio with the dog laying down, we're passing them. If she tries to like dart in front of me or like to get to them or like whatever, like what should I do in that instance?
Sure. So what you do here is go ahead and relax your arms. And what you're going to do is just take with your right hand, just bring it over so that your left hand can grab your leash. So not all of the leash, just grab like that, right? And you're not going to shorten it like that, leave it slack. And you're just passing off, so you're holding it like this. Does that make sense?
Changing hands.
Not changing hands, just shortening. As a visual, if this is my leash, right, and this is Pepper. So right now you have everything like this, right?
Yeah.
Is I would pass off like this, so now I'm holding my leash like this. You see?
Oh, like this.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. Yeah,
so
yeah,
now you've shortened it, right? So when you're gonna pass by something and you're anticipating we're passing by a patio.
Or a squirrel or a bunny that she's like, it's right there. Yeah.
Yes. Now you're going to shorten it, but if you look at your leash, it's not tight. You still have a little J there. You see that?
Yeah.
So short, but not tight. The reason for that is if you put too tight, you're creating tension. And tension will promote reactivity.
Yeah.
Okay? So if, let's say the patio is here, I see it coming up, oh dog, shorten.
Yep.
And if I have it, space.
Yeah.
Okay? Because the closer she is to that dog and the closer you are to that dog, the more threatening it is for them, more confrontation.
Yeah.
So just giving that space eases that tension. Ideally, we don't even see anything, right? And then once I pass it up, I'm in the clear, let the left hand go, I keep walking, okay?
So say the dog in the patio is right here, and that dog's like barking or like trying to get at her, and then she reacts, and we're walking, and she darts in front of me because she's like not listening. What do I do in that?
Straight up.
Up.
Always straight up.
To move her, keep her here.
Yeah, to keep her there, but also...
And then tap?
Yes.
Okay.
So, if you have a stationary dog, okay, and you have to pass by, you have a few things working for you to your advantage. One, against shortened leash, you're not going to interact, right? And you also want to be mindful of that person's leash.
Yeah.
Because if their leash is completely slack, and that dog has 6 to 7 feet, then you might have to make the decision of maybe best that I cross the street, right?
Right.
My thing is always assuming, you know,
Yeah.
is I always assume this dog may be reactive, and as opposed to friendly. People tend to assume friendly until something goes south,
Yeah.
right? So I assume reactive, and I go, that owner either is not holding a leash or there's 8 feet of leash there. I'm gonna cross the street. Okay, that's just being wise.
Yeah.
But if it's like they have a short leash and you don't want to cross the street, but there's more control there, I shorten my leash out to the side and pass by. If that dog becomes reactive, their dog's not going to get very far, but also I can pull straight up. Okay.
Right.
Now, if the dog is on your right, of course you want to hug this way. Watch prior. You know, let's say that dog is completely calm, but then Pepper's like this.
Yeah.
As she's walking,
She does.
you would tap as you walk, and you should see it just snap her out of it,
And keep going.
and she should just keep going. Okay. So whenever you see a potential context, Pepper is your responsibility.
Yeah.
Right. As I go, if I know my dog has issues with dogs on patios, whatever, I already know the context is there, and now I'm giving visual or looking, so I can see the head. I'm still relaxed. I don't ever want to do this and anticipate. Right. I'm relaxed. My leash is short. I'm watching Pepper. Her head starts to cross over. Tap. Boom. We keep walking. If I tap and no response, tap, no response, tap, no response,
Yeah.
that tells me I'm too low.
See, and I feel like in the past, if she's done something, should I bring her up? Or
Lightly pull up and tap. And relax.
I feel like I've corrected like this instead of pull up in a situation like that.
Yeah, so with the correction, technically when you do a prong correction, it's to the side or straight up. Okay?
Yeah.
People tend to do back.
But I feel like straight up may be more effective if in that situation.
Yeah,
because
it keeps
it's
her-
like right here instead
Yeah.
of like, I don't know.
And what you can even do is,
Because if she starts darting here, it's kind of hard to correct back like
yes,
this.
when you pull straight up, you can, you de-escalate. So up de-escalates, back or up and back escalate. So you make the dog more reactive.
Yeah.
If you pull straight up, if I need to, I'll keep pulling up until the front legs are off the ground, because that's how they direct themselves.
Yeah.
They push with their back, pull with the front. So if you remove the front paws and they're just like this, even if she's trying to be reactive, you know, she's can't direct the body.
Yeah.
So it gives you more physical leverage. The other reason for shortening the leash is most people tend to be too slack on it, that they're like this. And now the dog has all this leash to go this way, that way, that way, that way.
Right.
So as soon as I shorten it and she has a moment and I pull up, I'm only just here. So I get
Yeah.
that immediate pressure and I can pull her up even more. It'd be easier physically and weight-wise to go like this, and I can, if I have to, pass a situation like that.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah.
So there's dog training and there's dog handler training. And for every owner, you're going to do both. Dog training is we teach Pepper what to do.
Yeah.
Heel, blah, 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 blah. Dog handler training is teaching you how to use these tools, but then also, like, that's not obedience, right? Her being reactive and you doing this so that you prevent her from, you know, a potential confrontation, that's handling skills. That's handling the situation. Okay, and they go hand in hand. No pun intended. They go hand in hand, and that's what preps you for the world. Because obedience is black and white. Obedience is heel, she's on my left leg, and if everything is perfect in a perfect world, I'm not going to have any issues. That's not how the world works. You might come into a situation where it's like, oh man, this is bad. Having Pepper on my left would not be good. You can bring her to your right. Okay? But you brought her to the right.
Right.
Not her. Right? I don't want the dog placing themselves on the right, because then it becomes all over the place. So you move it to your right, let this pass, back to your left. Okay? You don't need to say anything there, you're just adjusting. Keep your movement, and then you readjust once you pass it. Okay?
Yeah.
So another thing that we teach, if we have a dog that may potentially become reactive, is if we see a dog coming this way, there's no, you don't want to pass them up, or maybe they seem reactive, because the easiest thing to do is to step aside, shorten your leash, she should automatically sit, otherwise up, tap, boom. Now I watch Pepper, right? She's my responsibility. I'm looking at the ears, looking at the eyes, I'm looking at the hackles, looking at the tail, I'm looking at the posture. I can see through my peripheral over here, like I can see Rihanna and my other client right now, and I can see this dog approaching like this. So if I'm watching Pepper and I'm using my peripheral range, you can also see or watch for, and this does happen, where the owner will step aside and then the other dog owner goes, right? So if you see that movement.
Can I get through?
Yeah.
Good. Sorry, buddy. No, you're okay. Thank you.
My dog.
So, you'd step aside, right? You're still being mindful, but technically that's their responsibility. This is your responsibility. You got your leash short, so if she did lunge, you're not going to get far. The person is passing, I see this encroaching, I look, no, we're training right now, right? Oh, my dog is friendly. Get the hell away from me. Okay? You might have to be curt. But you're trying to prevent something, right?
When should I let them, sniff each other or whatever, for instance?
That's on you.
Okay.
Right?
So it doesn't have to be always.
Correct.
It seems like the dog, yeah.
Yes. So you choose when and where. Don't feel like you have to read it. She has to read every dog. Dogs loving everyone or everything is not realistic. I don't like everyone and everything, and I'm sure not everyone loves me, likes me, right? It's just the way of the world. But we don't like, how do you say, like, if I don't like someone, I'm not going to go and harass them, right? It's mind my business, we avoid each other, we're good. Same thing for dogs. So if you decide, like, oh, there's your buddy, if she's in heel or in the auto sit, you can't just let her release and go on her whip. Pepper, right? You release her, now she can be free, sniff, eat, poop, play with the dog. Yes, break is the release command.
Okay, so I've used okay. So break.
You can use okay too.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Does she know break now?
Yeah, we use it at the facility, but you can do either or. Okay, it's just if she doesn't know okay completely, she'll learn it over the course of time. Okay, so break or okay means your job is done. So think of heel or obedience as clocking Pepper in. Now she's working. She's not allowed to sniff, not allowed to pee, not allowed to poop, not allowed to do dog, not allowed to do any of that doggy stuff. Her job is here, and we're walking and auto sit when we stop. Okay, lightly pull up, yep, and relax. And it's your job, of course, to reinforce that stuff. Once you come to a stop and you decide, you know what, Pepper, you've been a really good girl, we're at the park now, break, she's free to do whatever she wants. There's still rules, like there's still not any reactivity allowed, you simply correct for that. And then once you're ready for her to go for the walk again, Pepper heel, back on the left, and lead. Okay, questions?
I ask them all the time.
Okay. No, the questions are good. Like, it's pretty straight. I've done this for like 10 years.
Yeah.
And I've learned people's most common questions.
Yeah. No, you're answering all of them.
Yeah, I can pretty much assume what's going to come next. So we have the release, we have the heel, we have the heel with the left leg. Oh, so I'm having you do something before you stop, before you turn. Do you know what that is? Or have you caught into that pattern yet?
Slowing down?
Yeah. Slowing down. So, you know when you're going to do these things. You know when you're stopping, you know when you're going to turn. She does not.
Yeah.
Okay? So if you just abruptly stop out of nowhere, Pepper will always just keep going. Especially on a regular long walk, because it's too abrupt. Yeah. You drive?
Sometimes.
Rarely
now.
What do you do before you stop?
You slow down.
What do you do before you turn?
Slow down.
Yeah. So if you just abruptly stopped, the person behind you would crash into you. Those to sudden. If you would abruptly turn and you're going at a faster pace, you flip your car. So we slow down to communicate and keep changing.
Right.
Same thing for Pepper. Okay. So her job is to pay attention to you. Your job is to communicate what you're doing so that she's able to do it with you.
Yeah.
Okay. So yep. Yep. Go ahead and pivot for her. There you go. And we're at 25, right?
25.
Now let's go ahead and go down to that 15. So, this is something I want you to get in the habit of doing.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a permanent thing. This doesn't ever stop. Just like not slowing down, or like slowing down, or before stopping a turn with driving, that doesn't ever go away either. It's a permanent thing, right? So,
This is the dog that you really want to go like that.
okay, yeah, and then here, like whatever.
Okay, sounds good.
And it's all the taps now.
Yeah.
Because now you're in her head when she's like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is correct. Is when you go for a walk with her. Right now, we're not going to worry about the leg movements because there's specific leg movements for turns and stuff. The only thing I want you to be mindful of is when you say heel, you do move forward with that left leg. And whenever you're going to stop and whenever you're going to turn, you always want to make sure that you do slow down. If you ever find that Pepper is not being mindful of you, it's usually two things. You're either not high enough on the remote, or you're not slowing down. Okay, and more often than not, it's the not slowing down. And you'll notice because you'll come back to Jessie like, I was stopping and turning, and then she wasn't doing it with me, and I'll tell you you're not slowing down.
Yeah.
Okay, because that's the one thing that people typically forget. Otherwise, it's the number. So if someone says, Jessie, I slow down, the dog doesn't slow down, then I'll tell them your number's not high enough because now the dog doesn't care because it's not meaningful enough for them to think I should pay attention to what my hands are doing.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay, so I have been trying to get her, and she does it most times, but to stop at before like every street crosswalk
Oh, okay.
and sit.
Uh-huh.
Is that a good thing, bad? Do you have any like thoughts on that?
So, what you're trying to achieve there, and that's super common, is it's built into the plan. Because if she's in the heel, she will not pass you up. So if you stop just before the curb,
Which I would do, like, don't want to get hit by a car. So
right,
like,
you want to check.
yeah.
So it would be you slow down before that curb. So we'll pretend this crack here is the curb, right? I'm walking with Pepper. I want to make sure I slow down as I'm approaching. Come to that stop, and she should just be here.
Yeah.
Now, if you slow down and Pepper keeps going, what does this tell us? So Pepper.
Oh, if she's slowing?
So you're slowing.
Okay.
Okay, slowing.
Then she should be stopping. If she's not paying attention.
Exactly. She's not paying attention. She's passing me up, right? So most people, because they're thinking, well, I'm going to stop anyways, right? Like, it's not a big deal. They'll pull the dog back, whatever. Hard tap.
Yeah.
Okay? So your intention is to stop at the stop light or the curb, but she's going, not paying attention. So I go into Pepper, right? Tap, tap, tap. And then turn again, slow down, stop before the curb.
Yeah, the slow down part is, I have to remember.
Are you a fast walker?
Sometimes.
Sometimes?
But like, I probably stop too abruptly because I'm trying to catch her and make sure she's like at my side.
Yes. So when you cue heel, your visual is Pepper's right shoulder to your left leg. Her head should not fall any farther than where your foot lands when you're step. Okay. But that right shoulder, the left leg, is your visual cue.
Yeah.
So even if her shoulder is here, okay, compared to my leg, that's only like an inch or two. That would be correctable. People tend to go by, oh, Jessie, my dog's not pulling that much. And I go, it's not about pulling, right? Yep.
Oh,
There we go.
I didn't even notice it.
Okay. And yeah, want to pull.
Sorry.
Come forward a bit. There you go, in a reposition. So, there you go. There you go, and turn and reverse. There you go. So now she's getting sensitive to the 15. So it's funny how all that stuff changes, right? As you get used to it, you don't even think about it anymore. And because for this past week, you've not done anything really because you've not transferred. If you might find her working number is going to become lower because now you're going to be practicing it and things start to transfer to you.
Yeah.
Okay? Because now she's thinking, oh wow, when mom taps the button, it's like an Indian or just before he taps the button. It's the same concept. Exactly. So that's why it transfers really quick.
She like is not, I don't know, Nick mentioned too, like she doesn't really, she's not treat motivated, especially outside unless I have like hot dogs. So I've given her praise. She does good with praise, like just, but I've noticed sometimes if I give her praise, say like, oh, we're walking really nice, I'm like, oh, whatever, she'll start to like pull ahead when I give her that praise. And I'm like, but then I correct, and I'm like, well, what is that saying to her brain?
Right, so what's happening is you're putting energy into her, and it stimulates her mind. So then she like gets into this mode. So if I give praise, so what we want is passiveness. In this setting, when we're going for a walk, I don't want an excitable dog, because an excitable dog will lunge at something and it's pull you down.
So I shouldn't even praise.
You don't need to.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to, it would just be the girl.
Yeah.
Now, let's say
anything, just like
the change in the energy, yeah. So, when let's say like we have a good walk, and then I like let her free at the dog park or at like an open area, like girl, right? Now she has the space to like run around and all that stuff that I don't care. But as soon as we go back into that healing mode, it's passive. Right? So, like right now, I'm not like all hopped up on Mountain Dew. It's like, right? I'm like calm. I'm educating you because I'm working, right?
Yeah.
You know, but if I went to my friend's house and it was a party, it'd be a different side of me.
Yeah.
Right? So it's the same thing for her. Dogs learn by association. So the walk is a focused, disciplined, passive exercise.
Yeah.
Right? That's what allows her to dial into you. It also is what keeps her from being reactive and see things, or keeps her from looking at dogs that she normally want to play with, right? Because she's in a calmer state. But if she's walking, she's already in this kind of mental state, very easily transitions into let's play or being reactive or pulling ahead. So they're counter to each other.
Right.
Okay. So when it comes to obedience, functional family pet style obedience, it's just a passive focus.
Yeah.
Okay? And then in the freedom setting of, you know, free or okay, and we play ball and stuff, that's a different type of energy. And then we say, all right, we're done. Come here. You'll tennis.
Yeah.
Okay. Other questions?
Sometimes say we're sitting like this, or I'm sitting, she's laying down, and I'm not doing something for an extended period of time, she'll start to whine.
Oh, sure.
What should I be doing?
So you can technically correct that
Because I
the
usually
remote with the prong. Yeah. If you find she keeps doing it, it's the correction from the prong isn't enough to break the mental state, or not enough to deter it from happening again. So that's what remote comes into play. Because at some point, every dog has a breaking number, and maybe 15, 25, 35, 45, and then one day you think we're at 95, and she gets a really big dip, but then she's quiet for the next 2 hours. She just needed a very harsh correction for that minor thing in order to teach her sense.
Yeah.
So everybody has a breaking point. So here in the States, if you steal like a candy bar, you might get a slap on the wrist, maybe a nice yell, right? But in other countries, if you steal something, you chop your hand off.
Right.
For the tiniest thing.
Right,
yeah. Exactly. So if you're gonna gamble stealing something, sure as hell not gonna be in that country because you know the consequence, right?
Yeah.
Same thing for dogs. So for her, but dog logic and human logic are very different because you're logical in the sense of you're just whining. It's like shouldn't be relaxed behind something. But for her anxiety is really up there, or she really wants to whine, it might be 95 to deter her again. You know, from repeating it again. Because dogs are physical, they bite each other. That's how they relate to things. Okay? They don't have concepts of time out. You know, they don't have concepts of like, think about what you did and things like that, or explanation like, hey, you should eat, you should go get a restaurant patio, calm down.
Yeah.
You can't do that. If her whining bothered another dog, that dog would come over and fight her and say, stop whining.
Yeah.
Okay.
Another thing, I don't know if it's for today, but like, she whines and like, it's just really obnoxious to my cat. And the cat's been there before her. Like, they've been with each other for years, and she's still, like, we'll come into the house, and like, immediately she starts like sniffing. The cat's like always outside.
Sure.
Like, she's a very friendly cat. And she's like, whiny. She doesn't bark really, ever in the house.
We can go down to like 8 now.
Okay.
But you see how she keeps over-correcting? Yeah, there you go.
And then she'll nose him.
Oh, Yeah.
And then
It's
like
mindedly engaged.
I don't know if that's like the prey drive thing or like why. How can I get her to stop
Correct it.
e-collar in the house then?
You can do that too. You
Yeah.
know? And then like let's say you tap around 25 and every 5 minutes she goes to harass the cat. 25 isn't working. It's enough to stop it,
Yeah.
but it's not enough to stop it and deter it.
Does she know what I want her to do to
Yeah.
stop?
Because
But I
aversives are meant to stop things. This actually isn't meant to teach things, but we've
Yeah.
deciphered a way to teach things, right? Like how I explained it earlier.
Yeah.
Don't go that way, I'm going this way, right? So, same thing for the sit. When we pull up and you push down and you tap, we're guiding the dog to how this turns off.
Yeah.
Okay. For the cat, it's really just don't do that. So aversives, you know, if you ever touch a hot stove,
Yeah.
do it again, right? Maybe on accident, but that's a deterrent. It was an inanimate object that gave you consequence because it was hot.
Yeah.
Same thing for dogs. So think of the e-collar as a way of biting her as pressing the button.
Yeah.
Okay, so when she's going for the cat and you bite her with that button, you're telling her, I don't want you to do that.
And I don't say anything.
I personally don't,
Yeah.
because then she learns that whenever she harasses the cat automatically happens.
Yeah.
But if you say no, technically she can harass the cat until you say no.
Because I mean, like she's never hurt the cat.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
not
just-
like she's deep down she may be afraid of the cat, but like nothing I've done has worked for her to stop.
And I'll give you, at a later time, we'll try this out for now so you can learn more about how the remote works.
Yeah.
But I'll give you other ways of correcting her
Yeah.
to deter that behavior so you don't become solely reliant on the collar inside the home.
Yeah.
When it comes to obedience going for a walk, because you have to contend with everything that's going on out here, expect to have the e-collar.
Right.
Okay? That's just how it is. But it's not that you're always having to use it. It's just that it's present in case something happens. You know, like car backfires, firework, off-leash dog, you know, all that stuff. I want to know that I have control
Yeah.
in a realistic setting. Yep. And like for her, like this getting up and moving stuff, like you correcting her,
Yeah.
can also help with the whining because it's the brain not wanting to settle.
Yeah.
Wanting something to do. Okay. So like at our facility, like she does place work. You know, she'll be there for like 2 to 3 hours.
Yeah.
But anytime anybody walks in, she does this, which is fine. She plays a little bit more lenient. She's able to do that, but I can see her brain is easily stimulated into like, oh, I want to engage with it.
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of like reinforcing her. Okay. Anything else?
Sometimes it's weird. We've lived in the city for a long time, and like yesterday, we've gone over the train above, you know, the L coming over our heads. But yesterday, I was walking her just right over here, and she like totally freaked out with the L going over her head.
Oh, sure.
And I was like, oh, I tried to like, I babied her a little bit, which I never do. I was like, she just like freaked out. I was like, I don't know how to have made that better.
I just
in
keep it moving.
instance. I tried to keep moving but she was just like,
Yeah. You might have to like, not like yank her, but just put some pressure to make her move.
I didn't want to correct her because that didn't feel right. Like, okay,
So like logically for the human, it doesn't, because again, you're thinking more complex scale.
Emotional, yeah.
She doesn't think like that. She doesn't go like, what the hell are you doing? I'm scared, right?
yeah,
But if anything, she goes, I got scared. Mom kept moving, and it was like, we're moving,
yeah,
right? So it's like you're redirecting her out. That's not a big deal. Pay attention,
yeah,
okay? And that's what teaches dogs to recover. My Chihuahua does that with like buses and stuff. Where he used to be real bad, he'd be like, oh, over here, and then I would correct it. He still goes and shuffles a bit, but he recovers very quickly when he
much
just keeps moving.
yeah,
And I just keep an eye on it. Things can always change, you know. Like she could be fine with thunderstorms for 3 years, and then 1 year
Yeah.
she's changed. That happened to my pit.
really,
My pit was great with, you know, fireworks and all that stuff for
She doesn't
years,
care.
and
Yeah.
then she turned 7, and all of a sudden thunderstorms and fireworks fall over.
that's so weird.
Things change. So,
Yeah.
so you have your homework for the week, the
Yeah.
healing exercise, finding the working number. If you would please send me an email and just say, Jesse, please send me the videos. I'm going to send you a few videos
Yeah.
that'll just recap things. And then once I have her video up that covers everything, like the learning process, I'll send that to you as well. And then for now, just practice in terms of remote and all that stuff, with the way that I've taught it. This,
Yeah.
and then whatever you're doing now is fine. It's not going to inhibit the training or anything like that. And then once I see you next week, then we'll start to cover more ground.
Okay.
Okay? Anything else?
I haven't been bringing her to the dog park because I've been afraid since that incident than with my other dog.
Oh, sure. Yeah, it's personal preference. Like, I don't like dog parks because they're not realistic, and people bring dogs that shouldn't be there sometimes.
Yeah.
I think what's realistic is that her playing with like friends' dogs and stuff like that, because she would see them again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure. Okay.
Right.
Well, that's good.
So it was good to see you, Kayla.
Yeah.
If you have any questions, you let us know.